कोई लेने की तो नहीं, तो आएगा तो मैं ऐलान करूँगा. Inshallah, so shortly, Mufti Sahib will be arriving, inshallah, will be beginning our program. Also, he has also probably, inshallah, bringing a couple of students who will be reciting some Quran and also sharing a nasheed with us. In the meantime, as we are aware, tonight is the 25th night of Ramadan, so it could very well be Lailatul Qadr, right? That's why we have been encouraged and told that seek Lailatul Qadr in the final 10 nights of the Ramadan, and especially in the odd nights of Ramadan. So tonight being an odd night, it could have very high chances that it could be Lailatul Qadr. So what did Aisha radiallahu anha, she asked Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, to the nearest meaning, that, O Nabi of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, if I was to find Lailatul Qadr, what should I say? What dua should I make? So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam instructed her that you should say, Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'afu anni. Allahumma innaka afuwun tuhibbul afwa fa'afu anni. That, O Allah, you are the one who forgives, and indeed you love to forgive, so forgive me. So while inshallah we are here at the Masjid, and we are in hopefully we made the intention for itikaf. So inshallah make intention for itikaf and engage yourself in this dua, and inshallah as soon as Mufti Sahib is here, we will begin the program, and then inshallah it will not be too long. The longer we stay, the more we benefit, inshallah. What is the dua again? Allahumma innaka tuhibbul afwa fa'afu anni. MashaAllah, very good. So inshallah, Mufti Sahib just contacted me. They finished. He's already on the way. So inshallah, please remain seated for a few minutes. Be patient, inshallah ta'ala. Of course, they are also very busy, mashallah, in this month of Ramadan. Is holy nights. This time is not being wasted. It's still investing in your akhirah, inshallah. Like I said, do some zikr, do some tilawah, do some dua. Inshallah, it will be of benefit to us, inshallah ta'ala. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inshallah, we'll just start with a very short tilawah by Qari Muhammad, inshallah, and then Mufti Sahib will start the bayan. Come forward.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. وأنيبوا إلى ربكم وأسلموا له من قبل أن ياتيكم العذاب ثم لا تنصرون. وأنيبوا إلى ربكم وأسلموا له من قبل أن ياتيكم العذاب ثم لا تنصرون. واتبعوا أحسن ما أنزل إليكم من ربكم من قبل أن ياتيكم العذاب بغتة وأنتم لا تشعرون. أن تقول نفس يا حسرة على ما فرطت في جنب الله وإن كنت لمن الساخرين. أو تقول لو أن الله هداني لكنت من المتقين. أو تقول حين ترى العذاب لو أن لي كرة فأكون من المحسنين. بلى قد جاءتك آياتي فكذبت بها واستكبرت وكنت من الكافرين. ويوم القيامة ترى الذين كذبوا على الله وجوههم مسودة أليس في جهنم مثوى للمتكبرين. وينجي الله الذين اتقوا بمفازتهم لا يمسهم السوء ولا هم يحزنون. الله خالق كل شيء وهو على كل شيء وكيل. له مقاليد السماوات والأرض والذين كفروا بآيات الله أولئك هم الخاسرون. قل أفغير الله تامروني أعبد أيها الجاهلون ولقد أوحي إليك وإلى الذين من قبلك لئن أشركت ليحبطن عملك ولتكونن من الخاسرين بل الله فاعبد وكن من الشاكرين وما قدروا الله حق قدره والأرض جميعا قبضته يوم القيامة والسماوات مطويات بيمينه سبحانه وتعالى عما يشركون صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah Khair for the beautiful recitation. And do I need to introduce Mufti Sahib? I don't need to introduce Mufti Sahib. Inshallah, we'll jump right in. Jazakallah for taking our time. And
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا اللهم نور قلوبنا بعلمك واستعمل أبداننا لطاعتك ووفقنا لما تحب وترضى من القول والعمل والنية والهدى إنك على كل شيء قدير يا وهاب يا وهاب يا وهاب يا فتاح يا فتاح يا فتاح يا جبار يا جبار يا جبار أما بعد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها صدق الله العظيم. Beloved elders and brothers, mothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. On this blessed night, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted you to be in the masjid, accepted us to be in the masjid. I just finished, actually, I came before even Taraweeh ended. I came before Witr. But so we just finished and I came from Dar es Salaam, so sorry about the delay. We had a little bit longer Taraweeh today. But nonetheless, waiting here in the house of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are all getting, inshallah, great rewards on this night of Jumu'ah. As Ibn Rajab al-Hanbali rahmatullahi alayhi has mentioned and quoted some of the earlier scholars that the ulama have said when there is a night of Jumu'ah coupled with an odd night, that the chance of that being Lailatul Qadr is far greater than any other night. So this could very well be our Lailatul Qadr tonight. Whenever that night is, whether it's tonight or any other night, we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to grant us all a maqbool, mukhlis ibadah of that night. Ameen Rabbil Alameen. Beloved friends, as the month comes slowly, coming to an end now, very soon, every one of us needs to be asking himself and herself that what did I gain from this month and what have I changed within myself. A person remembers, I'm sure all of us have remembered the hadith where Rasulullah said, وَرَبَّ صَائِمْ لَيْسَ مِنْ صِيَامِهِ إِلَى الْجُوعِ وَرَبَّ قَائِمْ لَيْسَ مِنْ قِيَامِهِ إِلَى السِّحْرِ أو كما قال السلام, that many who stand, they get nothing out of their standing. Many who fast get nothing out of their fast except for hunger, and many who stand get nothing out of their standing except for tiredness or staying awake at night. That tells us that an amal, every single amal has a zahir, every single amal has an external appearance to it, and every single amal has an internal dimension to it. And it is not sufficient that a person focuses only on the external, but rather must make a strong emphasis on the internal dimension of that as well. For example, when a person performs salah, not every single salah is going to be the same. When it comes to the arkan of salah, we have performed through, we've completed the arkan of salah, alhamdulillah, is good. But what did we get from that salah? It's very different. Some people will be able to get their biggest problem solved. They'll get their Jannah through that 2 rakat salah. They get Allah's forgiveness through that salah. And as they say, some people after with 2 rakat, they can't even get a loaf of bread. So the salah is different. Some salah is, if the soul of the salah is present, you can be able to achieve great things. And if the soul of the salah is not present, then unfortunately, it becomes very shallow. So Ramadan and this fast is also, alhamdulillah, it is a beautiful shakal, very powerful being. But internally, if the soul is present, then mashallah, we will be able to walk away with huge benefits. And if the soul of our fast is not present, if the soul of our qiyam is not present, then there's the amount that we get out from here is not as much as it should be. And we see the masajid all across the world in the month of Ramadan fill up. And soon after Ramadan, not soon after, I should say immediately, within the same night, the night of Eid, we will see the Isha attendance at a quarter of what it is in the month. Maybe Fajr attendance being also a quarter more or less. And everyone talks about it. Why is this happening? Why is it happening? We all ask this question. And so there could be many reasons, of course, from there. But one of the answers that I would like to share with you, which probably you already thought about of anyway, but just as a reminder, that if amal and if good deeds are a result of a genuine internal change, then that will last a person after Ramadan as well. But if good deeds are a result of merely the environment that has been created, then as soon as that environment comes to an end, those good deeds will also cease to exist. So when a person is on Umrah trip or Hajj trip, you will see that they exert themselves to a degree that they usually never do. And they are sleeping 2 to 3 hours only per night. And doing many amazing actions, many voluntary ibadah. But when they come back, for a lot of people, they can't make it for Fajr. Or for a lot of people, they cannot give up their riba. For a lot of people, they cannot give up their watching haram, listening to haram. For a lot of people, they cannot start their wearing their hijab or basic stuff, just covering the hair in public. Can't do that. For a lot of people, they can't be respectful to their mom and dad. For a lot of people, they cannot be nice to their spouse or to their children. But what was happening, that they were doing so much extra ibadah in haram. And when they come back here, the basic fard also, they have a hard time going through. This is something you and I witness, maybe in ourselves or in other people, but it's very common sight. This is another example, that the ibadah that was happening in the haram was not an ibadah that was necessarily coming from a completely changed man inside. Instead, it was an ibadah that was coming from a environment that was conducive to that. It was a culture, it was the expectation that was created that this is the culture. You know, I was speaking to one expert on like human psychology and work psychology, and he was saying, he was sharing research on the fact that majority of the people, majority of what we do, over 90% of what we do is a result of culture of a place and not of our own nature or habit. Over 90% of what we do, he was talking about office work, office culture. That you'll have people who might come late, who come early, people who don't do their work on time, people who do, people who are, different types of people. But when you have a certain type of culture in your company, 90% of the people will act through that. And those 10% that don't simply are just, you can't fix them up, they gotta go. But 90% of the people will immediately follow through the expectations. That if the expectation is there, you have to be 15 minutes before work starts at the workplace, you will see 90% will follow through, because that's a work culture. If the work culture is that you can walk in 1 to 2 hours late also, no one will say anything, that's exactly what will happen. Whatever the culture is, majority of people will follow through that. So it's when people have their own internal issues or internal strengths or weaknesses, they tend to move towards the culture of the place that they're in. So when a person is maybe coming to a masjid, he may not wear his topi outside, but where he's coming, he says, okay, let me wear my topi. One person recently told me, he said, it depends which masjid I go. Some masjids I keep my topi and I wear it when I enter it. Some masjids, the culture is not of topi. We look weird if you wear it because no one else is wearing it. So then I don't wear it. This man just told me this past week. This is what we're talking about. The culture of every masjid is what you want to create it. And for that matter, every other place. So, for example, again, a person, what is more important? Is it more important to read 5,000 Durood Sharif in Medina? Or is it more important to cover your hair? Is it more important to do 2 tawafs every day? Or one umrah, even one umrah? What's more important, an umrah or covering your hair? What's more important? Is hijab more important than umrah? And the obvious answer, that is a no-brainer, is that hijab is fard and umrah is not fard. Yet we see millions of people from across the globe go for umrah, and they will not wear hijab in the plane. They will wear it as they enter haram, and then take it off before even they get to the airport. And then that's it, they're back to wherever they were. What is that telling us? That's telling us that change is not happening. People are following through the customs of a certain area. They are simply following through what is expected from them. Like a non-Muslim comes for a open house at a masjid. for example, and then he will say, oh, what do you do here? How do you sit? Okay, he'll sit down, eat his khajur also with us, and he'll have his ruhabs also. And he might even, if it's female at least, will definitely wear her scarf and throw something over herself to look, modest in the mosque. Very normal. But that's not what they're going to do outside. They're doing that because of the culture of the masjid. They don't want to be looking like they are out of place. So Ramadan has its own culture. Part of the culture of Ramadan is that you pray salah in the masjid. Part of the culture of Ramadan is you pray tarawih in the masjid. Part of the culture of Ramadan is you get up for suhoor and then you pray fajr in the masjid no matter how early it is. My dear brothers and sisters, if we are all doing whatever we're doing only because this is the culture of Ramadan, we will see as soon as the moon of Shawwal is sighted, we will have lost and shed away all the good deeds that we were doing because it was not a product of a changed heart, but it was a product of simply trying to adjust to a culture. And that culture is not long lasting. It's going to end. In the next 4 to 5 days, this culture is going to be gone. Ramadan is going to end. What will last? Only those people will be able to remain steadfast, those whose hearts have changed. And those who say, I do what I do, not because this is what's expected from me, or this is what's normal, or this is what everyone is doing, but rather it's because this is what is right, this is what I'm supposed to do. And so in these nights and days that we have remaining, this should be our focus on to see what changes come into our hearts. Why are we doing what are we doing? Ask yourself this question. Why are you doing what you're doing? And ask yourself, is my heart, has it become inclined towards Allah yet or not? Has it become disinclined from ma'asiyah and sin or not? If it has not, then we need to do something. It can take one majlis, one instance, one gathering for a person's life to have a 180-degree change. It's just the heart says, khalas, I'm done with this, no more. And a person can do every single year Umrah in Ramadan, but their life won't change. A person can do i'tikaf every year, but their life won't change. Because they have never even made the intention of internally changing. They are simply going through the acts. One of the key things we have to change, an example of that is our character. No matter how old we are, all of us can make a decision that, okay, whatever level of character I'm at, I have to ensure that this improves. If we don't, then the repercussions of this are going to be huge once we leave this world. In the world we suffer, but the bigger suffering will happen when a person is lowered into the grave. Akhlaq is something that when a person does not have, then no matter how many good things they have done, subhanAllah, the backbiting, the cheating, the deception, the carrying tales, the making fun of people, the sarcasm, all of those things, people speaking behind people's backs, talking down to people, these are things that are going to destroy a person's good deeds. And a person keeps on doing so much good deeds, but they cannot control their tongue, cannot control how they speak, what they do. Then subhanAllah, we know we have not changed. Every single masjid you go to, they'll tell you what happens in the parking lot. If you want to know the akhlaq of the community, ask the parking volunteers. What is the akhlaq of the community? The big shots that you think, oh, this person is the wali of our masjid, you'll see his akhlaq in the parking lot. You'll understand who he is. The people in the parking lot know. Just like a person who's washing the body, janazah, he knows how he ended. He knows secrets that we don't know, the person who washes the body. Similarly, the parking volunteers of every masjid, they know the akhlaq of the people. They know the akhlaq of everyone because they see that. And you see in a situation that you say, really, I can't believe it. They sit there shocked, that I cannot believe this person, how he's in a masjid like this. But look at him over here, how he's acting, like an unbelievable person. What happened to his character? When push comes to shove and we're under a little bit of stress, you see the real true colors come about. When you travel with someone, when you're in difficult circumstances, you're in i'tikaf, you're in hajj, you're in tight corners, then you see some serious different colors of people. We need to ensure that when we are under stress, that what comes out from us is exactly what's outside. We're not one color outside, one color inside. But rather, we are the same outside and inside. And that will happen, can happen, if you and I make a decision that we want to work on this. That, okay, this is something important. My dear brothers, I remember one person shared this very powerful story with me a few years ago. He said his father was very harsh with him and his kids and his siblings, and with the nephews and nieces back in Pakistan. Very harsh and old school type of raising of the kids, which is definitely not according to the Sunnah. Getting upset all the time, using harsh words, swearing at them, maybe even unnecessarily physically hitting them, etc. And many other things, talking down, destroying their self confidence and so forth. So he said, this is something that we saw. No one had the ability to stand up to our father. We couldn't say anything. None of the nephews and nieces, grandkids, but we were terrified from him. We just kept quiet. He said a day came when I got a job in America. So he said I came to America and I started working here. He said, then after that, father became ill. They said, okay, now you need to come visit dad. So he said, I went back to Pakistan to go visit my father. When I went to go see him, he was in the hospital, I guess so, he was weak. And the doctors had told him you have about 6 months left. So he said, I mustered the courage, and I sat with him, and I went and spoke to him. And I said, listen, Dad, I came all the way from America, you asked me to come here, I'm here at your, to come take care, to see how you're doing. But now I have to share with you something. He had become emboldened by staying away from his dad for so many years in America. So he decided to lay it all out. And he said, you may not realize that all that you do for your kids and grandkids, honestly, not only they do not appreciate it, many might actually be waiting for you to go because of the way you've treated them your whole life. You are not loved by anyone. You are not liked by anyone. No one cares about you. They simply do whatever you ask them to do because of fear of retaliation from your tongue. And when we were young, retaliation by your hand. But that's it. There is absolutely no care and love and appreciation because the way you have raised your kids and your grandkids and your relationship with your uncles, with our uncles. No one likes you. And no one has ever told you this. Who's going to tell you? Because you put on such a show, so narcissistic, so arrogant. No one has the guts to ever come and speak to you. But this is exactly what you have. Now your days are numbered. So I'm leaving back to America, but I wanted to let you know that this is what people think of you. The people who are closest to you. SubhanAllah. He said, Allah gave me the courage to tell my dad this. And then he was obviously shocked, but by that time he gotten weaker, he gotten older, so he was more willing to listen. He said, I left back to America. And he said, those 6 months that my father lived, he said, were the best 6 months of his life. He literally did a 180, changed, softened himself, and began to show appreciation and love to every single child of his, every single grandchild of his. And made up, in those 6 months, he made up for all the 60, 65 years of harshness and bad character. And he said, not only did it become such beautiful years for him, but it became beautiful months for him, but it became beautiful months for all the children and grandchildren. This is something where he said now when his time of death came, he said, I want my son. That same son who went back to America, I want him to come and lead my janazah salah. Because he has helped me. He has told me something which I had never realized. And he has really changed my life. That if I hadn't done this, what would have happened in the grave? What would happen in the akhirah? Now what we realize that a father who intentionally, of course, does not want to ruin his children's life, but simply because he doesn't look in the mirror enough, and because he does not reflect on his own character, he ends up destroying with his own hands what he with so much difficulty has built. He shoots himself in the foot. He destroys his future by destroying with his own hands the generations that he spent 3 jobs, right? Midnight shift and everything else to raise them. But subhanAllah, because of not taking care of their needs, what has happened? So we see this happening all too often in our community, in our society. There are so many people who come to the masjid whose sons come and talk to me. And many honestly come to this masjid too, whose sons come and talk to me. Come to our masjid, their sons come and talk to me. Their daughters will send an email. And they will say, subhanAllah, this is something. We hate our dad. We hate our mom. We hate our dad. This is what he happens at home. This is how he treats us. This is how he treats my mom. What am I supposed to say? Right? I do say what I need to say to them. But at the same time, subhanAllah, I feel sorry that subhanAllah, this father, he is right before he even leaves this world, he's destroying his legacy. He has no legacy. He has no legacy. And he has gone through so much difficulty as a migrant to this country to to get a home, to pay for his children's college tuition, to do all that. But simply because not having good character, sunnah character with his kids, what has happened? He has made enemies within the home. And this is not good. We cannot pull out the card of, the famous story of Umar Khattab radiallahu anhu, where during his era, a person came and said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, my son is being disobedient to me. And Umar radiallahu anhu was shocked. He said, during my khilafah, how dare does a son be disobedient to his father? And so he asked the son to come, and he had the whip ready to whip the boy for being disobedient to the father. But the son said, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, in Islam, is it only that the fathers have rights over the kids? How about the other way around? Because that's what most of the boys say. We can't say anything. They say, oh, if you speak, you're going to go to hell. I'm your dad, I'm your mom. If you say anything, you're going to go to hell. Everything, that's all they use, all the time. Think about it. Think about it, how many times this is used within the homes, blackmailing the kids. Without listening to what is this guy need? What are his needs? No, you're going to go to hell. The only person going to go to hell is your son. Only person going to hell is whatever the father does. The father didn't wake up for Fajr. The father's involved in riba. The father's listening to haram. The father's backbiting. No problem. As anything the son does, he's going to go to Jahannam. And he won't go to Jahannam for disobeying Allah. He will only go to Jahannam if he disobeys his dad. If he misses his salah, it's not a problem. If he's involved in haram relationships because his parents don't let him get married, that's not a problem. The only time he'll go to hell is if he disobeys his dad. This has become the culture. So Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, of course, your son has rights as well. Oh son, you have rights over your dad. He said, what are my rights? He said, the rights of you over your dad is that number one, he should have married a right mother for you. He should have married a right lady to be your mother. Number two, he should have given you a good name. And number three, he should have raised you in an Islamic manner, giving you proper tarbiyah. He said, all these three things my father has not done. He married a random, uncultured, uneducated slave girl. That was my mom. Number two, he gave me such and such name, which has a horrible meaning. And number three, he never taught me the deen. So Umar radiallahu anhu told him that, well, before you oppressed him, before your son has begun to oppress you, we had already oppressed him by not fulfilling his basic rights. This is where we understand that Islam is a very fair religion. It's not a one-way street. In every relationship between husband and wife, between parents and children, between siblings, between business partners, between students and teachers, every relationship, it goes two ways. There's no such thing as a one-way relationship. And there is rights on both sides. We have to make sure that we fulfill our end of the deal. Whether someone else fulfills their other end of the deal or not, that's not in our hands. We can try, we can encourage them, we can teach them. But if they don't, at least we know that we have not usurped anyone else's rights. So are they children disobeying their moms and dads? 100%. Are they I have dealt the case right now, mother told me, of how her son literally beat her. He had to, right in our community, within a few miles from here, she had to call the police. She had to call the police because of being bruised by her son. And now, subhanAllah, she's calling me to say, what should I do? How do I handle the situation? He's staying in a hotel, this, that, Ajib things are happening. So of course, there's lots of stuff happening within the community, both sides. Our children, in the past 6 weeks, 2 young men have run away from their homes. We don't know where they are. Hafadh, some of them, one of them was Hafidh of the Quran as well. Gone away. Just left a note, said, I'm gone, don't look for me. So when does he do? He do it as soon as they turned the age of 18. They became 18 and they said, don't even. And they cannot find them. And the police also said, now that once you have reached 18, we cannot help you. I don't know, these are 2 I know of. How many more this has happened? How many more? Subhanallah. And we're not talking about secular homes. We're talking about practicing deendar, masjid going families. So the environments at home are very big mess. Because of there's no akhlaq at home. Because of there's no character at home. This is what we need to be focusing on tonight. And every night that we're in the masjid. That, Ya Allah, please, whatever mistakes I have made, Ya Allah, please allow me to do a 180. Now, before it's too late. When I listen to the father who says his son ran away, I said, okay, I listened to his whole story. And I don't want to break his heart because he's finished, he's gone mad. But he honestly made major mistakes. And I said, yeah, why didn't you come and tell me these are the things you're doing? Naturally, it's common sense, which this method of raising a child, not gonna work. Absolutely not gonna work. I'll tell you one example. You see a guy is interested in a girl. What is he going to do? Of course, alhamdulillah, he's interested in a girl. He's not interested in a guy. Alhamdulillah. This is happening here. Again, in our community, there are huffaz who are now openly gay. Huffaz of our community who are openly gay. Every single day they go to school with a full makeup of a girl. And they identify themselves there as gay. Right here. Whatever is, just because you don't know about it doesn't mean it's not happening. And what I know is a tip of the iceberg. What I know is a tip of the iceberg. There's so much more worse that's happening. But what's going on? The thing is, we like to cover up all the problems under the carpet and act like everything is fine. And then when it gets out of hand, we say, oh my God, ab kya karna hai? The reason why this gone out of hand is because we never addressed it when it was a small issue. My dear brothers, we don't know how to fix a blender. What do? We throw it away. We don't know how to fix a lawnmower, throw it away. We don't know how to do basic things. How are you going to know when it comes to raising a child? If you just say, no, just because I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, I'm a real estate agent, I'm a lawyer, I'm an entrepreneur, I know how to raise my kids in America. No, I'm sorry, it's very different. But you say, my dad, he never took a parenting class. You know why? Because your dad and your granddad, they all came from the pre-industrial era. It was a whole different era. So what happened in 1850 to 1890, from 1890 to 1920, for example, 1920 to 1940, there's not much difference going on there. But what you see now, especially the cell phone, smartphone era, from the late 90s or early 2000s till now, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, we just read today in Surah Hadid, لا يستوي منكم من أنفق من قبل الفتح وقاتل. Whatever happened before Fatih Makkah, whatever happened after Fatih Makkah is not the same. Right? So I'm just giving an example. Whatever happened before smartphone era, whatever happened after smartphone era is not the same. Anyone who was raised before smartphone era and anyone who's being raised after smartphone era is different. You cannot say that my dad and my grandfather did not take any parenting classes. They never attended any, they never got counseling done by a psychologist, behavioral therapist. So I should be able to figure out myself. My dear brothers, it's not about like that. Now, if you're raising kids, you need to ask. You need to learn. I need to, not you, I as well. All of us need to. It is a very new, different era we're living in. Unprecedented. Unprecedented. And I can give you how many ways it's unprecedented. When you're growing up, all the elders were here. I cannot imagine you can remember one person within your Muslim neighborhood that was an atheist. Became an atheist. Not was, became an atheist. I cannot imagine within your Muslim neighborhood there was a single person who identified himself or herself as gay or lesbian. I cannot imagine one person within your community while you're growing up who identified themselves as a transgender. I'm a boy in a girl's body, a girl in a boy's body. I cannot imagine one person in your era, in your time, in your neighborhood, who openly said, A'udhu Billah, I hate the Prophet ﷺ, or I have horrible thoughts about him, I have horrible waswasas about him, I have horrible doubts about him. You didn't see that. You did not see 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds spitting at their parents, saying, I don't want to do this, I hate you. No, no one saw this. This was unheard of. Cannot imagine. Not only a 4-year-old, 5-year-old, not a 14-year-old, and not a 40-year-old. There was this, no matter how horrible a kid may have been, in the Zani Sharabi, but there were things you would never do, including speaking ill of the Prophet ﷺ, including saying blasphemous statements against Allah Azza wa Jal, including saying that I am attracted to the same gender, including saying I'm a different person in a different body, including being extremely disrespectful physically and beyond with their parents. These things did not happen, did not happen. And similarly, the women, you did not see women saying that, you know what, I am going to make you beg also, but I will never ever come back to you for the heck of it, for the sake of it. Did you do zulm? No. I just said, I don't know, whatever. Just maybe we should not have phones when we're raising our kids. Oh really? Okay, I'm out. Because why? I have a civil marriage, so now I can get 50% of your assets for free. I just need to hire a lawyer who's not going to even charge me anything, and I'll go. Who are these? Who's doing this stuff now? These are women who are halima, hafidha, hijabi, niqabi, Islamic school teachers, madrasa teachers, you name it. They are doing it as well as, of course, the average person who never wears hijab, who never went to the masjid. They are doing it as well. These things happened 60 years ago. Did they happen? The people used to beg, please, bhai, talaq mat do. Allah ke waste, rakh lo. Hum rakh lete, bhai, please, hamari beti ko rakh le. Rakh le. No, now I deal with divorce cases. Every divorce case I'm dealing with is the man crying, Mufti Sahab, please do safarish. Do something. Talk to my wife. Talk to my ex-wife. Talk to her dad. Please. Rote hain, bhai. They're crying with tears. And I look at this. I see all these grown men crying. What are they crying for? They want to keep their wife. And she says, no, money is sweet. Why should I? You know this is not even halal for you. It doesn't make a difference. These are the examples. I gave you 10 big things right now. The difference between from the 80s and 90s to what we are now. So basically the era is completely different. Samajaba, understand. You cannot say this I was raised in Karachi. This I was raised in Bombay and Hyderabad, so I'm going to do the same thing. You can't do the same thing. You cannot treat your wife in the same manner. You cannot treat the husband in the same manner. You cannot treat your kids in the same manner. You cannot treat your parents in the same manner. Everything is different. So part of that is proceed with caution. Learn when we're talking to each other, we have to be very careful how to speak, who to speak with. Very important. If our akhlaq are bad, फिर क्या होगा भाई? सबसे ज़्यादा who's going to cry when the son runs away? The dad and the mom. No one else. You know, I'm just sharing stories with you. Lekin dil ka dard, dukh that our dad has right now, tonight also, I cannot bring that. Because of our bad character, if our wife leaves, or the husband leaves, or the son leaves, or the daughter leaves, no one is going to cry more than you will, or I will, Allah forbid, right? May Allah protect us. But it goes back to knowing how to speak. My dear brothers and sisters, please, we need to focus on our akhlaq. Focus on our akhlaq. Focus on akhlaq. Abu Darda radiallahu anhu, he used to spend the night making one dua. And this is the dua of which you know it as the dua when you look into the mirror. What is that dua? Allahumma kama hasanta khalqi fahassin khuluqi. Oh Allah, the way you have made my physical appearance beautiful, make my character beautiful. This is the dua when you look in the mirror. So Abu Darda radiallahu anhu used to make this, not only when looking in the mirror, but he used to make this throughout the night at tahajjud time. His wife one day said, oh my husband, why are you making this dua at night in tahajjud time? This dua bar, again and again, again and again. Why? So he said, if this dua gets accepted, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if He accepts this dua for me, there will be a huge blessing for me. And so she said, what do you mean by that? He said, if this dua will get accepted, two things will happen. I will become the best sadaqah jariyah for my parents. And number two, I will have people praying for me even when I'm asleep. Ibadah, I will continue to get the reward of ibadah when I'm asleep. So then the further explanation was given, is that if this dua is accepted, then my character will become beautiful. And when my character will become beautiful, they will appreciate my presence, they will enjoy my company, they will benefit from me. And when they benefit from me, what will happen? They will make dua for me and for my parents. This is a normal thing. When you see a young boy comes and open the door for you, uncle, aapke liye main jo hai iftari ki plate lekar aaya. What do you say? Allah aapko khush rakhe, Allah aapke walidain khush rakhe. Dil se dua nikalti, naturally, because normal kids don't do that. The fact that this child did it, that means he was raised properly by his parents. Is that right? So you make dua. Like in Morocco, this is a very common thing. They say, jazakumullahu khaira wa rahimallahu walidaik. Right? This is the way they speak there. Whenever anyone does anything, they thank them and then they make dua for their parents. This is normal. So he says, Abu Darda radiallahu anhu says, if this dua gets accepted, then what will happen? My parents, I will become the best sadaqah jariyah for my parents, because people will continuously be making dua for me and for my parents, and I will continuously become a source of reward for my parents. Second thing is that even when I'm asleep, I will be getting the reward. How is that? And he said that is because when I will go do khidmah and serve someone and I come back home, say like right now, let's give an example. In the cold, you stopped your car and helped someone change their tire. Someone ran out of gas, you picked them up and took them to a gas station. Some random person, whoever it was, and you helped them with that. Some action that took 15 minutes of your time on a cold winter night. You did this. Now you come home and you go to sleep. But that person who you helped, he cannot forget what you did. So he's at home making dua for you while you're sleeping. And so now while you're sleeping also, your meter is running and you're getting ajr. This is what Abu Darda radiallahu anhu said, that's why I make this dua every night. Right? So this is something we need to start reflecting upon. From all the du'as and the things we want. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for so many things, right? Maghfirah. We ask Allah for rizq and barakah. Ya Allah, is beti ki shadi ho jaye, or ladka ki shadi ho jaye, this, that. How many of us saying, Ya Allah, please, mere akhlaq durst farma de. Ya Allah, make my akhlaq like Rasul sallallahu. Ya Allah, please make me a good father. Make me a good mother. Ya Allah, make me a good husband. Make me a good wife. Ya Allah, make me a good son or a good daughter. Ya Allah, make me beloved at home. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Al-mu'minu ma'laf. A believer is source of muhabbat. A believer, he's a source of muhabbat and love. وَلَا خَيْرَ فِي مَنْ لَا يَأْلَفْ وَلَا يُلَفْ. There is no good in someone who doesn't love people and people don't love him. This is not for the families, for anyone. Many times we enter the masjid, you say, oh, the masjid people, they don't, all the people in the masjid, they all hate me. They tell me. I say, you tell yourself, how is it possible that the whole masjid hates you? How is it possible that the whole, everyone doesn't like you? Don't you think there might be something wrong with yourself? If everyone you say doesn't like you. Someone says, oh, my children don't like me. Again, my wife doesn't like me, my children don't like me, fulan doesn't like me. Bhai, masla shayad hamare andar ho. At least think about that. This is what these nights are about. Because our mind, my dear brothers, is we're thinking about kitne humne khatam kar liya, kitna Quran pad liya, kitna Quran pad liya. Right now as I'm speaking here, some of you may be thinking, bhai, bayan kab khatam hoga, mujhe apna Quran mukammal karna hai. But you tell me, what's more important? Quran mukammal karna zaruri, akhlaq dursti behtar hai. What's more important? All these Qurans that you do, if we do ghiba, if we lie, if we cheat, if we break the hearts of our spouse, of our kids, we're actually reading Quran for someone else. We're not going to get anything from it. So one of the key things right now is that we have a massive problem at home. Massive problem. And no one wants to talk. They only speak. Everyone comes and tells me, I have to talk to you privately in the office. Kisi ko nahi bataye. When I tell them, bhai, ye to pichle 9 log ne to yahi sunaya. The previous 9 people are going through the same problems. Kisi ke ghar se ladki bhag gayi, kisi ke ladka, kya nahi ho raha hai? Why is it happening? Why is this happening? One of the main reasons is that akhlaq at home is messed up. Akhlaq at home is messed up. And our children will emulate, the children will emulate the parents. I remember one story I mentioned many times. About 20 years ago, I was in Detroit with Mufti Sahab. And mashallah, his little 5-year-old was with him. And we were eating in a conference. And his kid, a 5-year-old, he was nagging his dad, I want to go home. And he had actually went under the table. But I still remember, subhanAllah, the way the Mufti Sahab spoke to his boy. Mashallah, I was just there, that boy's in nikah now a few weeks ago, he's a big man, got married. So the way Mufti Sahab spoke to that boy, I was taken aback. I said, look, man, even though he's nagging, he's crying, but with such softness and with such nice akhlaq words, the father speaks to the son, beta, in some nice words, maaf karna, hum abhi faarig ho jate hain, hum abhi nikalte hain, chand minute dein, like that. Who speaks like that, right? I was just like, wow, man, ye tariqa hota hai, as a father speaking to his son. Exactly. When our children will model our behavior. If we have good, soft, kind words at home, then that's exactly what they will repeat with us. كَمَا تَدِينُ تُدَانُ. The way you want to be treated, you should treat others. So if we treat them with respect and love and kindness, they will do the same. There was an era when our parents, did I get hit? Of course I did. Who didn't here get hit when we were little kids? But when was the last time you thought of running away from home? Never. It never crossed your mind. But today, you simple small thing you say, I'm out. बोलने की ज़रूरत ही नहीं है. You don't have to say before, hey, get out if you don't listen to me. वो कहते हैं, I don't, आप ज़हमत ना करें मुझे कहने की, मैं खुद ही निकल रहा हूँ. Right? अभी तो बैग तैयार है. Don't tell me, you don't have to even tell me to leave the house. I'll leave my own. Wallahi al-azim, wallahi al-azim, wallahi al-azim, I'm telling the truth. This is happening in homes, all over. They're just waiting for that 18th birthday. The one of the cases, he turned 18 on Sunday, Monday was gone. When he checked the emails, he found out that he was planning this out for such a long time. He checked out all the shelters in the area. He had a whole email of all the shelters, how he's going to game plan of how he's going to get money. Without credit, huh? By the way, no credit card, no cell phone, huh? All these people. Untraceable. That's what they're doing. They planned it out. No cell phone, no credit card. And some of them, no ID as well. No license. But they know, they're smart. There's enough ways, like how to, astaghfirullah, take your life and commit suicide, which is now becoming a very common problem also. There's so many ways to learn. Within minutes you can learn. Similarly, how to run away from the home unnoticed is also something that people are searching for. So this is why we need to be really careful in our tarbiyah at our home. Soften up, show mahabba, show love. With each child, spend time separately. With each son, each daughter, get to know them separately. Take them time. Now Eid week is coming. MashaAllah, if you're off from work or whatever the case may be, try to spend individual time with each child. And besides, giving the gifts, one is a family get together. अब मसलन basic चीज़ मैं आपको कहता हूँ, कितनी चीज़ आप tell. Fathers will come and say, हाँ भाई बात करे ये सुनता ही नहीं लड़का. बोल के थक गया हूँ, सुनता नहीं. Bhai, why are you disgracing him in front of me? Come on, man. He has a basic sense of, self-respect. Don't debase him. I will talk to him. You can tell me privately. Let's speak to my son. But average parent does that. Average parent debases his child in front of someone else, in front of a guest, in front of a Maulana, in front of the Imam Sahib. How that kid is going to hate your guts. Sudar kuch nahi aana wala hai. Never. He's just waiting for the right moment to jump. So this akhlaq is where we got to work on. And then number 2, make sure we teach them deen. One mother came to me crying. She says, mere bete se baat kare, he's come talk to you. Please talk to him. I said, what happened? Well, I sent him to college. And instead of, सीधा padhne ke liye, wo ladki ke chakkar mein pad gaya. I said, ladki ke chakkar, he wants to properly get married. He wants to do nikah. He's not doing, a'udhu billah, any haram relationship. He came, he told me about her. And he's trying to get your blessings. He said, but we're Pakistani and she's Hyderabadi, or she's Hyderabadi, something like that, right? And so she went on and on. She told me her long, sad story. Okay, but as a new immigrant to this country, I did 3 jobs. Honestly, it's like an ironic story. It's like it made you cry. She went through a lot of hardship, this mother. I did so much to raise my kids. Aur ab jo hai, college ke age aa gaya, to ab jo hai, ab wo shaadi karna chahta hai. So I'm giving a khulasa of a long conversation with her. Listen. Eventually, I told her, I said, my dear mother, all of that you did. She said, maine khud faqiri ki zindagi guzari, lekin I made sure he wore Columbia. I made sure he wore North Face. I made sure he wore Nike. I did everything for him. Aur ab jo hai, wo jaakar shaadi karna chah raha hai ek ladki se. So I said to her that all that you just told me from the beginning to end is about how much effort you did for his dunya. How much effort, I'm going to ask you, did you make for his deen and his akhirah? All these 3 jobs that you did was to buy him material things. Insan usse banta nahi hai. By wearing a nice jacket, you don't become a nice person. By wearing expensive shoes, you don't become a good person. Akhlaq and deen make you who you are. How much effort, instead of those 3 jobs, even if you did 1 job, and he wore, yes, cheap, Payless, $10, $20 shoes. But subhanAllah, if you worked on his tarbiyah and his akhlaq, today this wouldn't happen. Number 2, you should make shukr. Right now, go pray 2 rakats Salat shukr and fast tomorrow. So much shukr. That he wants to get married and he has not already committed zina. For every 1 person who wants to get married, I can tell you there's 9 others who have already committed zina. Zina is like this water bottle. Yaad rakho meri baat. Zina is like this water bottle. Ache. Astaghfirullah. Sometimes the brother is sitting in front of me, and I already know how many times, subhanAllah, his kids have already committed zina. Because one sibling will say, I don't understand. My siblings, they all, my dad is sitting there. If he finds out, he's going to have a heart attack. But this is what's happening on college campus. Can you help? What can I do? I cannot tell my parents. We are divorced from the reality of our children. So I said, you should be thankful that your son wants to get married. Why would you come and say, oh, he's from 100 miles away from our town? No, he's a different culture. Bhai, main keh raha hu, Musalman ho, if they're practicing Muslim, bas kar lo. That's it. Because majority of people are not staying away from haram. And the only way you're going to find this out is if you yourself go to university. Change your dress and go inside university and you will see. This Glenn Bard I spoke at, mujhe to wahshat hoti, Allah ka wahshat hoti, go through the hallways of the high school. As a speaker, I feel wahshat, mujhe bhagna hai, bayan dekar nikalna hai yahan se. I have to get out. Because I feel so awkward. I feel honestly like I'm in a war zone. Imagine those bichare miskeen boys and girls every single day. Abhi ek sahab who wears a mask to, for job health-wise. He's a substitute teacher in one of these schools. So he told me this. He said, subhanAllah, he said, people, when I wear my mask, unko pata nahi hai kaun hoon main. I'm a desi uncle. He said, elevator ke andar, inside the elevator, I see Muslim boys and girls pushing each other for drugs. White boys and girls pushing each other. Mere samne in the elevator. They don't know who I am. He said the mom drops them off outside the high school with a scarf. As soon as they come inside, out is a scarf, holding the hands of their boyfriend and walking through. And he said, when I start speaking English, they realize that, oh, this is a desi uncle. So then all of a sudden, some of them, Torsa, they start, they're like, oh man, we better watch out, because he might tell our parents. It's a complete dual life out there. But since we don't go to high school, we don't go to college, and we drop them off outside, we don't know what's happening. And घर में आते हैं तो स्कार्फ पहन लेते हैं, घर में आते हैं तो टोपी पहन लेते हैं, उसे माशाल्लाह सब कुछ सही है भाई, सब कुछ सही है, कुछ सही नहीं है, कुछ भी सही नहीं है. This is a whole new era of nifaq, of hypocrisy. These are two dual lives that we're leading. Why are we having these dual lives? Maybe because we have not befriended our kids. Maybe because we do not know their personal lifestyle. Maybe because we have not made ourselves comfortable and approachable to them, where they can talk to us and to say, Baba, Ammi, this is what the situation is. So before these statistics, which are very shocking, Allah forbid we don't become that statistic and they don't happen in our homes, we have to ensure that we keep a careful eye on our children, we become their friends, understand what they're doing, and from a very young age also, in your mind and your wife's mind, create this readiness that inshallah, very soon, our daughter and son has to get married. We have to make sure that we find the right spouse for them early on. This will keep your son and daughter out of a lot of haram. What's happening to the kids is that my mom and dad will never agree for me to get married until I'm 26, 28. But I cannot. Ye to, Allah maaf kare to say, ye to 6 saal ka roza hai. 8 saal ka roza. Kaun rakhega ye bhai 8 saal ka roza? Nahi. Zarurat hi nahi. For what? Jab koi nahi roza rakh raha hai, to hum kyun roza rakhe? Koi nahi rakh raha hai. If no one's fasting for 8 years, why should I fast away from this? So we need to stop bringing these cultural things in our marriages and make marriage easy and early. Tell your daughter and son, inshallah, when you finish high school, also, we'll find someone. We'll look for someone. If you have anyone, aap hame bataye. That's it, the best relationship you can have with your son and daughter, to say, I'm not going to go tell other people, Baba, you are my friend. I'm going to tell you, Ammi, you're my friend. If I like someone, if I saw someone, I'm attracted to someone, I'll bolo. They should know that you're not going to slap them. Because if that's the thing, if we don't give them an avenue to vent or share their thoughts, Allah forbid, that's going to go in a whole different direction. So these things are, I think, the most important things to make sure the fire is extinguished in our homes. These are the basic character development of us, and making sure the relationship between husbands and wives and between parents and children is strong. One more thing here is, when the mom and dad are not on the same page, Allahu Akbar, then shaitan has a field day. Shaitan has a field day. Many divorcing husbands and wives, I tell them, whose kids are 17, 18, 12, I said, you don't understand. You probably can find another guy, and you can probably find another girl. You guys can get married, no problem. The real thing why shaitan is making you hate each other and fight with each other is because he wants to go after your children. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has said that with shaitan, when he attacks the one that is straying away, the one who is fallen behind the pack. And then the Prophet ﷺ gave an example that a wolf, when he attacks the sheep that's been left behind. When mom